morning, student, and welcome for today's lesson, which actually we want to talk about the sex linkage. So we want to understand what we mean by the term sex linkage. Basically, these are traits that are located within the sex chromosomes, or they are attached to the sex chromosomes, and therefore they can be transferred to the next generation through the sex chromosomes that we inherit. Now, first of all, let us understand how can we now therefore determine the sex. We can look at how we can determine sex determination. Now, to determine means that how do you identify the sex of a person here? How is it really identified? Now, we know that generally we have got the chromosomes of the body and also the sex chromosomes. Basically, the chromosomes that determine the body, that carries the body genes without actually determining the sex of a person, is called autosomes. So we have got what is called autosomes. These are basically the chromosomes that carries the genes about the body of an organism without actually determining the sex of the person. So the sex of the person is always found. So these particular autosomes are more of a homologous chromosomes. But if we look at the last chromosome of the entire 46 chromosomes that we have, the number 23 pair here is the sex chromosomes. So we have got the sex chromosomes being the pair number 23, and this sex chromosome is not homologous. It's especially in males. So sex chromosomes are not homologous. So we are calling them, this individual now is called heterogametic. This is an individual with a sex chromosome that is not similar. They are not the same, like we have got X and Y for male. So we can refer to the male individual as heterogametic. And then now we know that the autosomes are homologous chromosomes, homologous. So the chromosomes of the female, which is including the sex chromosome being X and X in the female, so this individual will be referred to as homogametic. This is homogametic. She has got similar sex chromosomes in the body. These particular sex chromosomes are developed within during meiosis at the sex cells. Like we have got the testes in the male, normally help in the development of the sex cells, which in them we have got the chromosomes that determine the sex of the person. So that is what we really have to understand. Now, looking at this particular two sex chromosome here, that is X and Y, in terms of the sizes, we realize that the Y chromosome is a very small Y sex chromosome. So it is small in size. That is one thing that is there. That the sex chromosome, that is Y, is small in size. Therefore, it means that it carries less genes as compared to the one that is called the X chromosome. In fact, it has got about 23 million base pairs. That is what it has, about 23 million base pairs. And out of this particular 23 million base pairs, it is only 78 of them that can code for protein synthesis, can code for specific protein. So you can see this is a very much smaller chromosome, so it doesn't carry much of the information as found in the X chromosome. Now the X chromosome is a little bit larger, and unlike the one that we have talked about here, this one carries a lot of information in it, as much as we can compare it with the other one. Actually, it carries around 150 million base pairs, and out of this 800 to around 1200 can code for specific protein. So you can see that there is a lot of information that is found in the X chromosome as compared to the one that is found in the Y chromosome. But still, as much as there is that particular big disparity between the two chromosomes, still you will find that they have got some similarities that make them, during meiosis, to pair up together in male. So that is one thing that is also very much worth noting, that they, as much as they have got different information, they can also have got some similarity, much enough that is enabling them to come together as pair of chromosomes. So that is one thing that is there. Now, in various organisms, we have got these particular chromosomes behaving in different way. Like, for example, in the male human being, in the fruit fly, the male one normally determines the sex of the offsprings. In other words, they carry the dominant chromosome here. So the dominant one here is Y. Y is normally dominant. Therefore, whenever it appears, the trait that it stands for phenotypically will be expressed, and in this case, the male. So it is the male human being that can determine the sex of the child, and it is also the male Drosophila can determine the sex of the offspring. This one is not for all animals. Like in the birds, it is the other way around, and the reptiles. You will realize that in the reptiles, it's the female that now determines the sex of the child, because they are the one that are heterogametic, and therefore they carry the dominant chromosome here, including the birds. So that is, it varies in various organisms. It's not constant for all of them. So that is another thing that we should really note here. So that is how we can determine the sex of an individual. Now, in terms of sex-linked traits here, I have said that the sex-linked traits here are those particular characters that are found within the sex chromosomes and are actually being transmitted within the sex chromosome. Now we can take an example of this study so that we can understand more about this, how this one is transferred. Like if we look at the case of the fruit fly, that is the Drosophila, we will notice that there are some particular outstanding characteristics and how they are being transferred. Now these particular characteristics, we can note them using the phenotype, like the color of the eye. We have got different eye color, like we have got the red eye color, red eye color in this particular group of organism. We have got apricot eye color. We also have got the white eye color. These are some of the possible colors that we can see in this group of organisms. Now, how do this particular trait exist? Now, this particular trait here of these organisms, they are attached to the X chromosome. So we learned that the X chromosome, it is large, and therefore it is carrying more of the character, or more of the trait are linked to it. So the moment that this trait is found in the X chromosome, they can be transferred to the offspring. But let us note this, that the X chromosome for the male child is donated by the mother. So any moment that this particular trait is passed to the child, whether the trait is recessive or the trait is dominant, it will phenotypically be expressed in the male child, simply because the male child has got only one X chromosome. So when the X chromosome has got that character, the child will be expressing that particular trait phenotypically. So that is what normally happens with the boy child in terms of the sex-linked trait. They normally experience it more than the girl child, because this trait is existing in the X chromosome, and the moment it is passed, the male has got only one X chromosome. Therefore, the trait will be expressed. Now, I want us to note that in this particular colors here, the red eye color is dominant over the white eye color and the apricot colors. It's dominant. So the moment this particular trait exists and it is passed, the child, that is the male offsprings in this case, will be having this particular red eye color. Let us have got an example of a cross so that we can check if we can predict this particular feature. Suppose we have got a homozygous red-eyed female mating with the white-eyed male. How will the offsprings look like? So we have said that if we see it sex-linked, so we can express it like that. This one means red eye color. Red eye color. And then when we see this one will be for white eye color. White eye color. So this is how genotypically it's expressed. And remember, it's not existing in the Y chromosome. So in the event that we have got let us have this particular prediction, the phenotype here. If the male here, we have got the female here is having the red eye color, and then we have got the male having white eye color. What is the likely? What are the probability or the chances that the offspring will be having a red eye color or the white eye color? The next thing is that we have got the parental genotype. So in this case, we'll be seeing that the female has got a 2X chromosome, and in each one of them there is that linkage for this particular parent to be red-eyed, assuming that the state is homozygous. Then the male one is white eye. It has got only 1X chromosome. Therefore, the existence of that particular trait, there will be an effect. Then the parental gamete, we will be having the gamete featuring like this. These are the gametes of these individuals. This is the gamete. So I want us to go to our normal PewNet, and then we solve this particular issue. This is what we are going to expect. So if this is our female here, the gamete is there. This is our male. In the event that we have got this gamete meeting, this is what will be expressed. This is a female, that is a female offspring that is heterozygous. Still, it's going to express the red eye color because this particular gene is dominant. And again, we'll be having this one here like this. So those particular daughters will be all red-eyed, but they are carriers. They are not pure. They are not true breeders for the trait. Suppose we have got this male will be red-eyed automatically, and then we also have got another one here. So these offsprings here, they appear like all of them are having red eyes. They are all having red eyes simply because the trait here is dominant. So in both states, like heterozygous, it will appear. And the male has got no heterozygous state because it has got only one X chromosome. So this is one thing that can be seen. So the trait here is giving us the phenotypic ratio of the red ones, that all of them are red, and then the male are red, and then the female are also having red eye. That is, the phenotypes are appearing to be all red. So that is what we are having here. In terms of the ratio in how many males and how many females are having red eye, it is ratio 1:1. That is, one in the one male, there is also one female having the red eye. So that is one thing that can be expressed. Now suppose the character is given, suppose we try this. Let us see how the same character can be inherited if the male now is the one that is having the condition. Suppose we have got this. Suppose we have got this. What will be the phenotype? What will be the ratios that we are going to express here? So in the event that we have got a female carrier, parental, let us look at parental phenotype. Suppose this is a carrier, red-eyed. This is the female, and then the male is also red-eyed. Then we have got a parental genotype. So we'll be having the case whereby the female is a red-eyed but a carrier. So we are talking about assuming that we took the previous children and then we crossbred them again. We'll be having what type of offsprings. Now their gametes are parental gametes. Those are the gametes. So if I bring in my Punnett square, so if this one is our female gamete, this is our female gamete, this is our male gamete. So when this one crosses, we'll be having the female that is having purely red eye. Another female here is going to be a carrier. Then the male here, red eye. Then this male here is white-eyed. So we are going to see that in this particular case, again, all the females are having red eyes. That is one thing. All female offsprings, all female offsprings have red eye. And then the males here will be having red eye in the ratio of 1:1. Like one male here have red eye and another male here has got white eye. So that is how it is going to feature here. So this is how we can transfer the sex-linked trait to the offsprings. So that is how it happens. Now we have got very many sex-linked conditions. Some are diseases. So we can check on how they are really transferred. So the sex-linked traits, just like in the Drosophila here, this is how it is also transferred in the, that is how it's being passed by the peas, the peas. This plant here, the pea plant, this sex-linked trait will be passed like this, and also in the same way in the fruit fly, that is the Drosophila, and also human being. So the human being, the fruit fly and the pea plant, they will be transferring the trait in the same pattern. There will be no any other variation that is taking place here. So in these particular organisms here, the result of the single gene can determine the character that is being expressed to the by the organisms. Though in this particular transfusion, we really know that there can be interaction between variety of multiple of genes together with the transcription factors that is found in the DNA, and also the epigenetic factors can also lead to the transfer of the genes phenotypically to the offsprings when they are sex-linked. So that is one thing that normally happens in the conditions that we have got the sex-linked trait. Like for example, we have got the hemoglobin in human being, which can be affected by a variety of the genes, which can affect the shape and also the nature of the hemoglobin. Therefore, that will be transferred to the offspring, and it can also affect the rate at which the oxygen is being transmitted. So that character can be found to be sex-linked in the human being, and it is always attached to the sex chromosomes, that is the X chromosome. Then we also have got the red-green color blindness that is expressed in the human being. Now this trait is linked to the X chromosome again, and it is being transferred from the parents to the offspring. And in the most cases, we realize that this trait is going to affect more of the boy child, because if any case this trait is transferred, even if in its recessive state, the male human being has got only one X chromosome, and therefore the presence of that particular trait means that it is going to express itself phenotypically. So that is one thing that is very much clear in terms of the transfer of the sex chromosomes in the male and in the female. So that is one thing that we really have to talk about. So let us look at the event on how this particular red-green color can be transferred to the offsprings. Now, the red-green color is a condition whereby a member cannot clearly distinguish the differences between the red color and the green color. So that is why it's called the red-green color blindness, the inability to distinguish clearly between those colors. Though those colors look like they are completely different, but to some individual, they don't have the ability to clearly separate them because of the sex-linked trait that has been passed to them. So they don't have that ability to actually clearly distinguish them. So this one is due to the fact that the genes that is responsible for the cones that we have in our retina are not synthesized. Therefore, this individual cannot distinguish between these particular colors properly. Now, in the event that this one happens, let us see how the trait can be transferred in this particular manner. So I want us to look at the case whereby we are having a father who is normal for the color blindness. So the gene for normal, C, we are going to give it capital C. So this is normal color vision, and then we can talk about this one here to stand for color blindness. So if I have got my parental phenotype, so in this case I have got one, the father becoming normal color vision, and then I have got the female here, which is also normal color vision, but the female in this case is a carrier. What do we expect to have? So in terms of the parental genotype, this is what I have. For the male to be color normal, there must be that capital C there, and then female here to be normal carrier, there's a capital C and a small c there. So those are their genotypes. Now, how will their gametes look like? Gametes will be, in this case, this is how the gametes will look like. As the male child. This is what we have. And then so if this is our female, this is how this one should be a little bit capital. Okay. And then I have got the male here. So what will we experience? Definitely this is a girl child with pure normal vision, clear normal vision. This one here is also the female. The female here is a carrier, but the vision is okay. We have got the male child here. This male will be having normal color vision, and then we have got this male here being colorblind. So you can see that in the most cases of this particular character, the person that is really affected is the male child, because the inheritance of that particular trait means that phenotypically that child will be experiencing that state. So like in this case, one boy here is having the problem with the distinguishing the color. Then the female children here, they are all having normal color vision, in spite of one of them being a carrier. So that one is not a true breeder, so it cannot easily be expressed in their children. So phenotypically, this particular girl child here appear to be having the normal trait. So that is how this particular character is being transmitted. So you can term them in ratio form so that we see which child is having what particular condition. So in terms of carrier, how many carriers do we have? Let us see. this one here, there is only one carrier here. In terms of normalcy, we have got two purely normal, a daughter and a boy. In terms of the affected children, this is the one that has got the effect here, the boy child here. One of the boy child has got that particular effect. So that is one thing that can be expressed in this particular individual. So that is how this particular trait can be transferred. Now suppose we have got the event that this male that is affected here is marrying somebody who is purely normal. So we can see how that one can be. The male, so they become our new parent, parental phenotype, assuming that the female here is normal, purely normal, color vision. Then the male here is affected, colorblind. Colorblind. What will be expressed here? We have got a parental genotype. So here we'll be seeing that the genotype is capital there and a capital there. This is a small c and a y. Gametes. This is what we have. This is what we have. So if we bring in our square here so that we can express them using the Punnett square. If this is our female, and then this is our female, the male gamete is here. So this offspring here will be having this condition. This is a carrier. So you can see in this case, the females don't have much problem of this particular condition. In fact, in a population, you'll realize that the ratio here is big in the male as compared to the female. Now this male child here will be having the normal color vision. So in this case, all the offsprings, all the children are having normal color vision, because the boy child has inherited the normal condition from the mother. The boy will be having the normal eye vision. The mother will still be, the daughters here will be carrier because of that X chromosome that is being donated by the father, which has got the condition. So this is how the trait is being passed to the offspring in the real life situation. Now let us look at the next condition that can be transmitted to the children, and this is hemophilia. Hemophilia condition. Transferred. So we look at the hemophilia. Now hemophilia is the inability of the blood to clot whenever there is a cut. It takes a long period of time to clot. This is due to the fact that the blood of a person may be lacking the 8 factor, that is the clotting factor. The 8 factor. So if you, in fact, sometimes it's just called the 8 factor. So if this particular factor is missing in the blood will be having that inability to clot. So it can lead to excessive bleeding. The bleeding can be internal bleeding in the joint, or it can be the normal bleeding by oozing out of the blood in the blood vessel whenever there is a cut. This condition is dangerous because if the event that it happens like that, you can lose a lot of blood. But what is the repercussion of losing a lot of blood? Remember the functions of the blood that we have learned. That the blood helps us in transporting the oxygen and also the nutrients. So the moment that I have lost a lot of blood, it means that I am unable to transport oxygen, and therefore I will be having a problem with the respiration that should be yielding for me energy that can be used to maintain my metabolic processes. So that one can lead to death, which is very risky. Therefore, such conditions should be treated. Now, we know that currently this condition can be treated before the birth of the child, or even after the birth of the child. This condition can be treated. The scientists have been doing well in it, and therefore it can be corrected early enough. The event that it is not corrected, the risk we have talked about, that lack of the energy due to the fact that you have lost a lot of blood that will be transporting for you oxygen, so you will not be having enough energy to maintain the metabolic processes that are there in the body, which can be tricky and may lead to death. So that is how this condition is bad. Now this condition can be transmitted by a recessive gene that can be found in us. So this particular gene is also attached to the X chromosome. So it means that again in this condition here, the boy child can be much affected because the presence of this trait here will mean that they are suffering. And this particular condition is transmitted by the mother to the boy child, simply because the X chromosome the male has is donated by or is inherited from the female parent. So the boy child will be most affected in this particular case. The female here might not be much affected because the female has got 2X chromosome, and the presence of the normal hemoglobin condition or gene for hemoglobin normal one, once it is dominant, the female child will not be sufferer. She'll just be a carrier in that particular case. So that is how it is. So assuming that let us look at some of the way it can be passed. We can predict it by saying that in the event that we have got a carrier female being married by a normal male. So what is the gene for normalcy? So this is normal condition, and then this one here is actually hemophilia. So assuming that the female here, parental phenotype, so suppose that I have got the female, this female may be normal, pairing normal, but a carrier. Then I have got the male. Now my male here is also normal. What will be the outcome? So parental genotype will be giving me this. For the normal carrier, I'll be having this. This is the genotype, and then the normal male is going to be that way. Parental gamete. I'll be having this. This is what I have. So, yes, then this one. So, I have this. This is what we have. So in the event that we have got this is the female. So this individual will be like this. This is a daughter, normal daughter. Then this one here will be normal male, and then this is a male that is suffering. So in this event we are having actually one child likely to suffer from this particular condition, and this particular child will be a male one because of the presence of that particular trait in the female. And then all the females are normal, though one is a carrier. Then we have got the male, one male here is normal. So this is how this particular condition can be transferred. So these are how the traits can be transferred from the parents to the offspring. So these are called sex-linked traits that we have in the individual. So I want us to remember that in this particular chapter, what is very common for us, or what is very important for us, that we have to be very comfortable with this particular terminologies like homogametic, autosomes. Remember what they were. Autosomes were chromosomes which carry information about the body. but do not determine the sex of a person. Then we have got a homogametic, an individual who produces the gametes that contains only one type of the chromosome. That is called homogametic. In human being, this one is a female. Then heterogametic was an individual that has got it produces it produces the two gametes that control that determines the sex of the person. So in other words, they are not similar. Then we also have got conditions like sex-linked diseases that are attached. They have got the genes that are attached to the sex chromosome. So these are some of the terms that I really want us to understand in this particular chapter, and that is how our exams will be, and we should know how to go about it in terms of the crossing for those particular conditions and then tracking them back. So that is what we have in this particular chapter. Thank you for listening. Let us meet next time in the new conditions that we